Welcome to another Coffee with Colm, and thank you for joining me. This week we're coming to you from the Savoy Hotel in Limerick City, and this is the first Coffee with Colm interview that I'm doing. Delighted to be doing it with David O'Shea of Entray. David, you're very welcome.
Thanks for having me, Colm.
Pleasure. So David, I want to find out a little bit about you for our viewers, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So please tell us, who's David O'Shea, what's your business?
So I'm David O'Shea and my business is Entray.com. We're a live stream and video production company. We're based in Limerick and we do a lot of work with the likes of Athletics Ireland, Swim Ireland, Hockey Ireland and that sort of thing. A lot of sporting events we do, so we stream it up onto the organisation's Facebook, YouTube channel and let then their viewers then interact then with the content, be it a match, be it an athletics event. We've also recently started moving into corporate events, so there could be conferences on. People would have invited a number of guests to this conference. Some people obviously can't make it for whatever reason. A private link then is sent out to the people that can't make it, so they're still able to log in if they're on a train, if they're travelling, wherever they are, and still actually engage with it.
Wow, fantastic. And you call the business Entray. Can you spell that, please?
So it's N-T-R-A-I, and what it stands for Now Take Reality and Imagine. Inside Entray we've got a four-step process that we apply to any project that we're doing. We also think that it can be applied to anything that somebody's doing in life. And so if you're starting off, so it's now take reality and imagine. The first thing we've got to do, if you want to change something, be it if you want to get fitter, if you want to get wealthier, if you want to get more sales, you've got to imagine, and that's where you set your goal. You set your goal then, and then you've got to make changes, because the one thing that we're trying to avoid is the I, that's insanity, and doing the same thing over and over again. That's what we describe as insanity. So we've got to make innovations. We've got to change what we're doing. So now take reality and innovate. You've got your goal set, and now you've got to change some things. Decide on what those changes are that you're going to implement, and that's what you've got to do next. Then you've got to implement those changes. By implementing the correct changes, you now have ended up with your new reality. So you've achieved your goal. And the last step then to that process is now take reality and inspire. So we'll be trying to get people to, if they've done something well, to encourage others or inspire others to do the same thing. And even if you've done a project yourself well, you want to use that project then to inspire you to do another project well, or to better that project again the next year, or whatever it is.
Wow, congratulations. I mean, you've put a lot of thought into this. So N-T-R-A-I, now take reality and imagine. It sounds fascinating, and of course those four steps that you've identified and you've put out there for others, you obviously bring those to bear in your own business. That's, Entray lives what it says, it walks the talk.
Exactly. So a number of the projects we do would be obviously in the live streaming sporting world. It's the same project that would be happening the next year. So we'd sit down at the start of that, after getting the project again, we say, well, what did we do last year? How can we make it better? How many viewers does this project get? Is there any way that we could promote it better? And that we try to make changes that way.
That sounds fascinating. And how long are you established? When did the idea come to you? When did you kick off?
So the business has been running since 2013.
Okay.
But it wasn't always a live streaming and video production company. We started off actually in the crowdfunding space. So we set up a site that helped Irish athletes to actually crowdfund. And being honest, from a business point of view, it didn't go well.
Okay.
It wasn't making money, and that's when we, a lot of people talk about this pivot, and that's when we pivoted our business and we changed it entirely, really. We continue to support some athletes that we were working with through sponsorships and videos to help them acquire sponsorships, but really it changed totally, and we're still in the sporting world, but it's very, very different. So
that's how you found your way into the sports arena, for want of a term, with your crowdfunding piece, and that has evolved. As you said, it wasn't quite working the way you imagined, which is very honest of you, but it's also what happens in lots of businesses, but you've had the guts to pivot.
Yeah, now if I was to look back, I'd say that I'd do it quicker, that I'd have changed it. It took about 2 years before we really, that I fully accepted it, that it wasn't going to work. At the time, I was still working in what was originally our family business, Penn O'Shea. So I was still doing okay, and I was trying to get flogging this dead horse, essentially. But then it came to the crunch time, and we had to make changes.
Wow.
So yeah.
And it's worked?
Yeah, it's worked. We're
Delighted.
Yeah, we're very happy. No, we're by no means the next Facebook or anything like that, but you know,
You're
we're
the first entree.
That's it.
There
exactly.
you go. So don't try to be the next anything. So tell me, in since 2013, since the pivot, really, some highlights.
Yeah, there's a number of highlights. Really, like I suppose it was in 2015, I think it was. We had our first really viral video. There was a 4x400 meter relay as part of the Irish Universities Athletics Association.
Okay.
It was the last race of the day. To be honest, everyone was kind of getting a little bit tired, including the athletes that were competing. It was starting to wind down, and UCC got the baton in 5th position. And everyone thought, like, you know, UCC are out, and we're focusing on, I think it was UCD were up in front, and they were going very well. And there was a girl called Phil Healy, who's now since become the national record holder of the 400 meter. She's the record holder over 100 meters, and she's the quickest currently over 400 meters in the country. Fantastic. She got the baton and made up 80 meters. Phenomenal race, and that went viral. We've got 4 million views on our own YouTube, and then it went. Other ABC over in America picked it up, and it got worldwide over 50 million views.
Wonderful.
Like that. So
that is some highlight.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's just wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely that you were there at the time and that it happened on your watch.
Yeah, exactly.
But it couldn't have gone viral except for the fact that you guys were there to record it in the first instance, or live stream it, as the case may be.
Exactly. Yeah. So that one actually too. It was Facebook had enabled that week that you could actually have a production live on Facebook. Before you were able to live stream from your phone and that, but now you were able to actually have a production, a couple of cameras coming in and that sort of stuff. So we were the first people as well to do that in Ireland. So we were happy. So
absolutely
a
wonderful.
lot of stars aligned that weekend.
I'm delighted for you. Delighted for you. Well, you know what they say, like, we create our own luck. So,
yeah.
So well done, you. Well done. But I have to bring you back then because I'm sure our viewers out there want to know, well, what went wrong. So can you tell me either tell us your most embarrassing moment to date?
Yeah, well, a lot went wrong in the early days of the crowdfunding and that, I suppose, but we've been through that. But I suppose since we've been doing the video production and the live streaming, I suppose the funniest moment that I can think of offhand is we were doing an event. I won't say where because I'm not sure if they fully know about it yet or not. But the commentators were
breaking
talking
news, folks. Breaking news. You heard it here first.
The commentators that were talking away, and the cameras were set up, and we were looking at the different images coming in. We were saying, "Yeah, this is fantastic. Everything's going well." You're just starting to relax after the initial maybe 3 minutes of the stream going out. And I went onto Facebook to make sure that the comments were coming in and everyone was happy with their viewing. And somebody said, "Where is the sound?" And what do you mean, where's the sound? But I was after muting one of the cameras in the software, so the commentator's talking away, basically talking to himself. We thought he was doing great commentary, but unfortunately people online were there, so it lasted about 4 minutes, I suppose, in total. That it was a 6-hour event now, so we were okay.
Right.
But
4 minutes of dead silence.
Yeah, dead silence, and it's great action.
Well, again, thank you for your honesty, because my mother always said that the man who never made a mistake made nothing, and so if we're going to step out there and do our thing, we may position ourselves for the highlights, but we may be prepared to take some of the bumps along the way. So, well done, you.
Sure.
After getting back up and going again.
That's it. Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm known for my man on the train story, which is my business life changed. Really, my life changed when I met a man on the train and made a particular connection that opened up a whole load of doors. Ultimately, led to you and I sitting here today. Yeah. So, do you have a man on the train moment?
Absolutely, and I really enjoyed your man on the train moment. I read it in your book, and then I heard you actually saying it yourself over in the Strand Hotel at my brother was involved in the Limerick's Best Young Entrepreneur competition that year, and I really enjoyed it that time. I suppose from an entry perspective, the best moment was when we got our first live streaming event or live streaming gig, and it was with Athletics Ireland. And we were doing a lot of videos. We were doing a couple of smaller videos for them. And one day we got a phone call saying, that the streaming companies, after pulling out, that they're leaving Ireland actually. And how quickly could we make videos, and how quickly could we turn them around for their schools championships? And we were saying, well, we could do them quick enough. I said, but we actually would be able to live stream it. And she said, "Jeepers, that's fantastic. Would you be able to live stream it this weekend?" This was on a Wednesday. The event was on Saturday. I said, "Yeah, we can do that." Wow. So that was the first one, and we've since done our 4th schools championships now, just there at the start of June, started this month. Fantastic. So that was probably the best one, and we work very closely now with Athletics Ireland on their streaming. Wonderful. So that was the kind of the biggest.
So it's one of those moments where just as you say, the stars aligned, and you were ready to take the ball on the hop and make it happen.
Yeah.
And 4 championships later.
Yeah, that's it.
And more to come, obviously.
Please God, yeah, it'd be great.
Wonderful.
Delighted.
Congratulations. I do think we are out there doing our thing, and if we're out there doing our thing properly and to be of service, I think the opportunities arise. Your story, that last bit, reminds me of what Bill Gates said. You know, when he was starting out, he was asked, "Can you produce such and such?" And he said yes. He had no idea how he was going to produce it, but the answer was yes. And he worked it out afterwards. Richard Branson says the same type of stuff. You know, say yes and figure it out as you go, and that's what you seem to have done.
Yeah. Well, we had it absolutely, like with the. It was definitely, we were very nervous the morning of the first stream. We had done it on a smaller event about 4 weeks earlier, that we knew we could actually stream it. But then when it came to actually getting paid for it and going up to stream it, you're a bit.
You get paid for your work now, do you?
Sometimes, anyway.
That's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely, yeah.
Delighted.
So,
listen, congratulations. Before we go, very exciting journey to date. So where to next? Have you got your 2020 vision?
Absolutely. You know, I'm looking at that birthday in 2020 that you talk about. So like with Entree, our main aim is to continue working very closely with the clients we have and trying to expand that business. Like what we say is that there's no event that people don't want to view online. So if an event is online, there's somebody somewhere that will want to watch it. So the inhibiting factor for it is the cost of it. Okay. So for a number of years before, say, internet streaming came along, TV companies came and they put it on TV. And that was only done for events that there'd be maybe 1 million viewers for. Now, maybe some smaller ones obviously too. But with some of our events, you'd be looking at, I think, viewerships maybe of 1,000 to maybe 100,000 would be, that's our kind of a sweet spot. And we're saying that, well, if somebody wants to stream it, cost shouldn't be the issue for it. So we want to start trying to get more and more events. So with the clients we have, we're trying to expand that business as well as getting more and more, particularly in the sports section, and now expanding into the conferences and that. So.
Wonderful. Happy days. Excited about the future, I'm sure.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. So yeah, bring it on.
Congratulations, David, and all at Entree. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Every success. So folks, thank you very much for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colm, the inaugural Coffee with Colm, where I'm interviewing somebody. I'm delighted that it has been David O'Shea and Entree, and I'd like you to join me in wishing David and Owen, who's behind the camera, shy, David and Owen and all at Entree, all the very best for the future. So let's launch it.
Stop that.
Very best, David.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colm. I hope and trust as ever that you got something from it. If you have done and you think somebody else would benefit, I'd be delighted if you'd pass the link on. If it's your first time here and you'd like more of this type of stuff, well then pop to the homepage, colmobrienmotivation.com, leave me some details and make sure you get a link like this every week. Most importantly, please consider what's been shared here today and apply it into your thinking for this next week. And equally as importantly, please come back next week and we'll share another coffee together and I'll ruminate on some other aspect of life and business. Between now and then, I recommend you go get some good coffee if you can, get some fresh air for sure, get some R&R. If you spend a lot of time alone, I recommend you go meet some people. If you spend a lot of time with people, I recommend you take a little time out and take some time alone. And then when the time is right, and only when the time is right, get your head back in the game, get organised for the week ahead, get stuck in, make next week count. I'll see you here this time next week for another Coffee with Colm. Sláinte. Really love great coffee. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.